this is Rowan. Rowan is actually one of my clients' horses, and she's very kindly let me use him for this long lining session. We've worked together on Rowan's body for the past year. He's a fab eventer, seriously good little jumper. He's got an amazing canter, very talented horse. But Jenny's always struggled to build muscle, especially over his back. Now we all know, having done the anatomy part of my long lining workshop, how the muscles are all connected from the neck through to the spine, through to the back. So if you're struggling to build muscle behind the shoulder, that's not just one muscle. Those are due to deeper muscles in the core, in his shoulder girdle and his neck. So yeah, we know that from the workshop. If you've missed that, by the way, make sure you watch the anatomy long lining video. But Jenny's always struggled with him because his saddle's always slid back because of the lack of muscle. So what do? We introduce some long lining. Jenny was very new to it, and so was Rowan. He was probably long lined when he was started as a youngster, but not really anything since, because what happens, especially if they're good horses to ride, we just ride them, and why wouldn't you? However, their backs, they need a little bit of groundwork at least 2 times a week. So Jenny just started long lining in with some of the exercises we've done in this workshop, and I'm going to demonstrate today the differences in the grip on the long lines, but also those rings, because the single rings can be quite confusing. So we're going to bring him into the center, and we're going to talk about these rings. So I'm a safe distance away from him. Again, especially if you're new to long lining and your horse is new to him, I would not recommend being this close. Be quite a distance so that if they were to kick out, you're not going to get kicked. Now, we're starting from the basics. So we're in an enclosed area. It's a safe space. It's a quiet environment. And I'm just going to get used to the pressure, the contact, and asking Rowan just to start with a walk and a halt. So my walk, halt, transition. So how am I going to do this? Sorry, just got my tail stuck. Okay, so we've got your rein contact. We've described how to grip the reins. I'm going to very gently, as if I'm on board, a little bit of pressure down the rein. I'm going to use my body. My shoulders are back. I'm going to go halting. Good boy. And I'm going to ask him to walk on. Walk on. Good boy. Then I release the pressure. So you can see the rope now is a little bit slack. There's not a lot of tension in there. And I'm looking at his back. So from behind, you can see the rib cages. Watch my shoulders. The rib cage is almost swaying right to left, right to left. It's a little bit of a bonus tip here for you guys. The tail is an extension of the horse's spine. If you can see the tail swinging like that, right, left, that's a good indication that their back is supple and soft and that they're moving well through their spine. Horses that have a very crooked tail to one side and very rigid tail, in my opinion, and again, I'm making a statement here without feeling the horse's back, but usually they have a lot of an issue in their back or pain or tension. So top tip there for you guys. Right, let's do a couple of halt walks, practicing our pressure release. Again, shoulders back, halting. Good boy. And now I'm going to ask him to walk on. Walk on. Good lad. Okay, to change the rein in a safe enclosed area, I'm going to look where I'm going with my head, apply pressure with the left rein, give with the right. Now apply pressure with the right rein, give with the left. When you're walking behind them like this, imagine there's a rope from my belly button to his tail. So I'm not walking here with him yet. I'm walking directly behind him. Okay, I'm going to do the same on this rein. He's veering off a little bit here. What people tend to do if the horses are spooking like this is they'll go with them. If you watch my body, I'm glued against the fence line here. My intention is saying we're staying on the fence line, okay? Whatever you want your horse to do, be clear with what you're asking. Now I'm going to go to a halt. So we're going to apply a little bit of pressure down both reins. Halting. Lovely, that was so subtle. You see, I didn't do much at all. Now I'm going to ask him to walk on. Walk on. Good boy, and release the pressure. Okay, so what are we looking from behind? Obviously, it's quite hard to see. I'm just giving him a little bit of encouragement to go forward. So from behind, what am I looking for? I'm looking for that lovely swing through his rib cage, equal right to left. I'm looking for the tail. Is the tail moving right to left? And is the head and neck in a very neutral position? You will find that sometimes, especially if they're new to this and they're a little bit unsure, that their ears will actually be on you. They're focusing on what you're asking them to do. Right, let's change the rein. So we're going to do a little bit of right pressure. Look where I'm going with my head and my neck. Give with the left. Then I'm going to apply left pressure as I give with the right. Look at my body. I'm going back to the fence line. Ask him to walk on again. Good man. And one more halt transition. Rowan, hold. Good lad. What are you looking for as you're long lining your horses? Well, we want relaxation. We want relaxation. We want nice, even rhythm. Imagine you're on board. If I'm watching the outside four front leg, my rising, I'm going 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so what's your rhythm in the trot? Yes, you can look at if the hind legs are moving equally. Are they moving well? Are they reaching the front legs? Not always a sign that the horse is sound. We're looking at the head and the neck position. Have we got a nice neutral horizontal? Or is he a little bit tight in his neck where his head and neck comes up a little bit? I'm looking at his back. Is there a nice swing through his rib cage? How can we help our horses just to supple through their back? It's just do a little bit of variation in the pace and some downward transitions. So I'm going to ask him to walk, walk. Good. Same again in the walk. It's what are we looking for? Relaxed head and neck positioning. We're looking at his back, his shoulders. How is he moving in the hindquarters? A really important indication for me whether your horse is relaxed is actually looking at their mouth and their eye. Are the whites of their eyes showing? You can see that he lifted his head as he looked at something. Is he nice and relaxed? Is there a nice slow blinking response? What's he doing with his mouth? Is there any tension? You see horses that are very tight and uncomfortable or tense. They have what's called almost like a parrot mouth, and the front lip will go quite hard and above the bottom, and that's why we call it a parrot mouth. So what is your horse showing in their facial expression? A good indication if they're listening to you is look at their ears. The inside ear is normally on you when they're listening to you as you ask them a question. So look at his ear, he's focusing on me because I'm asking him just to trot on or walk on a little bit more. But that's a lovely relaxed position in my opinion. Now whilst he's relaxed, I'm going to ask him to trot. Nothing happens in my hands, I'm just going to use my body first and my voice. If he doesn't go forward to trot, I will use my right rein just to encourage the back end to speed up a little bit. Okay, and trot on. So no, use my back end. Trotting, good boy. That's better. So I feel this trot now is actually a little bit more relaxed compared to the trot we had earlier on. The stride in the front looks a little bit longer. It doesn't look so short and choppy. And again, nice relaxed head and neck positioning. Long and low always is not always good, guys. I think it's been a little bit thrown around, the term long and low, and it's not always a good thing. I'd rather you see a nice neutral horizontal neck head position all the way from their atlas, so the pole all the way through their neck and back. And I'd also love to see the mandible, so the jaw here a little bit open as well. So we don't want horses to go behind the vertical and be quite tight. Want them to be nice and relaxed from the top of their ears to the tips of their tails. Okay, let's bring you back to a walk and change rein. Good boy. So let's actually change rein by going behind him. So I'm going to take up the slack on my right rein. Just got my tail stuck here. Good boy, sorry. I change rein. So I'm going to apply pressure with the right. I'm going to give with the left. On the right rein, is the right rein the same as the left rein? Unfortunately, horses do tend to be quite one-sided nowadays, and I'm sure you've heard this before. Majority of, I think, dysfunction in the body comes from tack issues, ill-fitting tack, and also we do everything from the left side. So challenge yourself, come in here and do things from the right side instead of the left side the whole time. That's how we're going to equal our horse's body and make sure that they are equal from the right to the left and vice versa. So in the walk, what am I looking for? A lovely relaxed head and neck position. The back is their movement in the muscles in the back. You can almost see them going right, left, right, left. Is the tail nice and straight and relaxed, swinging side to side? And again, yes, you can look at the front legs. Are they equally stepping forward as are the back legs? Are the back hooves stepping in the tracks of the front feet? Good indication about how they're moving through their lumbosacral junction, through their back. Right, we're going to go to a trot. So the aids for the trot are increasing my voice, saying it trot, and then also a little bit of a vibration down the left rein. And trot. Trotting. Good boy. I need to be careful here because I'm going in front of his shoulder, which is actually slowing him down. I need to go a bit behind him, and then I'm driving him from behind. Trot. There you go. So that's better. So there you go is an example of my body not being correct. Okay, so he's a little bit tenser on this rein. We're just going to ask him just to trot on a little bit more. You can see I've got some poles laid out on the floor here, and these are just great guides to guide him around the ring. There you go, starting to soften a little bit more. Canter. Up. Up. That's better. Up. That's softer now. See the difference in the head and the neck? He's starting to open up that jaw. That's better. There you go. takes time, it takes patience, and takes consistency from you as well. I'm going to do a walk transition, walking, lovely. Good boy. And now I'm going to ask him to trot again. Trot. There you go. So now we're starting to soften a bit more in the head and the neck. I do feel, if I watch his body, in the right rein here, he tends to want to lean in through the right shoulder compared to the left rein. So that could tell me that I need to do a little bit more work through mobilizing his shoulder girdle, or actually opening up his left hind. In not all cases, but some cases, you have the diagonal compensation pattern where, because of horses being on 4 legs, if there is some weakness or stiffness in a hind leg, the opposite 4 might be compensated. Not all horses, but in some. Now I'm getting a much more relaxed frame and neck. Walking. That's such a nice head and neck positioning. Please don't always tell your horses off for lifting their head and their neck. I want to encourage an elastic and mobile horse. I don't want to encourage a stiff and a fixed horse. And for horses to be elastic and to be mobile, they need to test their range of motion out. So that's why I don't like too many gadgets on horses, things that are going to fix them into position, because I think you're going to cause more damage by not allowing that body, not allowing the joint to reach its full range and to also play within its range of motion. Good boy. Good man. So we have now the more advanced long lining, just for horses that are more educated and maybe a little bit more well schooled. So they have a strong back, a good core, and they're working well over their back. So this is a good progression. You're working your way up the hoops. So we'll do the same on that side. Oof. Bring it through. Again, Rowan is quite accustomed to ropes being around him, so from a safety perspective, we've done a lot of work together to make sure that he's not going to jump or spook at the ropes. And how you would set them off on this style of long lining, as I'm gathering up my loops. Go. And I would ask him to walk on. Walk on. Walk on. I'm not panicking here, I'm just letting him get used to it. Walk on. Walk on. Walk on. Walk on. Walk on. Walk on. That was a great example there of just not panicking, being calm in my voice, but asking him to walk on, which is what I want. Now I'm just relaxing the pressure around for him, just so that he can be a bit more softer in his frame. Again, I'm not asking him anything, but just to walk on. Tell my body language is quite calm. Walk on. Just give him a little tap on the outside just to ask him to walk on a bit. But if you can see, focus on his head and neck positioning, that he has a different frame now, a little bit of a higher frame than when we had the rope through the lower rings. And this is where, again, depending on your style, your technique and your experience, you'll see a lot of the more advanced people doing this, where they will ride and they will long line the horses, not ride, from up here, and they will do a lot of the work from the hindquarters. Again, in my opinion, I would definitely seek expert advice before doing this kind of style, and also be honest with yourself, because this is a very dangerous position to be in if you are with a young horse. So I'd only recommend this for experienced people, experienced handlers, and also for horses that are used to you being behind here. Good boy. How often should you long line your horse? It very much depends on your horse, your management, also your skill level and what you're trying to achieve. So let's just start with a horse that's low level competition. If you're riding your horse 6 days or 5 days a week, of those 2 days, I would be doing in-hand work. Not necessarily lunging, either work from the nose, or I'd be doing some long lining in walk over walk, flat poles, nothing complicated, at least twice a week for 30 minutes. If your horse is in full competition, competing every weekend, and you are not too sure when to do long lining, again, as a general rule, I would do it at least 2 days a week. Do it, say if you have a competition on a Sunday, depending on your horse, give them a day off on the Monday. The Tuesday, the Wednesday, do 2 days of long lining. Get off their backs. Their backs are so, unfortunately, weak skeletally. So the more in-hand work we do with our horses, the stronger they will feel to ride, the less injury they will have, and also you'll find that your relationship with your horse will be so much better as well. If your horse is in rehab, long line them, depending on what they have, at least 4 or 5 days a week. You can vary what you're doing, so don't always come into the arena. If it's safe to do so and your horse is safe and you're skilled enough, please leave the arena, go walk on different terrains. Fantastic way of conditioning the joints, conditioning the body to being ridden. We'll talk about the progression of bringing a horse back into work in the next video.